Hey everybody, welcome back to another movie review. Hope you guys been enjoying the content on the channel as of late. We're going to be having a lot of movie reviews in the future. Hopefully nothing changes, because every time I say that, something always comes up. But as it stands right now, we have a ton of movie reviews slated to happen pretty soon. Um, so be on the lookout for that. And to kick off, or to at least continue that these trend of reviews, because I believe by the time this review comes out, we I would have seen something else, but uh, let's hope. Um, let's talk about for a minute The Good Nurse, which came out on Netflix and stars Jessica Chastain as a nurse who is dealing with severe levels of anxiety to the point where she is dealing with heart problems, where she actually needs to get heart surgery. So she's dealing with a very severe case of anxiety, and she has I'm not sure what the forgot the name of the issue that she has, but she needs to get heart surgery fairly soon, because the environment that she inhabits, obviously being in a hospital, is an extremely stressful environment and requires so much of her energy and so much of her patience. Um, and a new doctor is brought into the nursery center that's played by Eddie Redmayne, Charles Cullen as his name, and um, there's a growing suspicion that he might not be who he uh, who he is portraying himself to be, as an investigation is beginning to be conducted um, about a potential murder case. So that's basically the setup for the film, and um, from that setup, it's pretty easy to figure out what happens. I mean, it's not a hard movie to figure out. Um, and that was the worry that I had going into it, because I remember seeing the trailer for it and I thought, well, this just seems pretty, par for the course. It's pretty easy to figure out how things are going to go. Um, but what I appreciated a lot about the film was it's how it addresses this idea of anxiety. Um, I personally deal with anxiety quite a bit, and I have to say that the portrayal of anxiety, that the way that they represent it, particularly through Jessica Chastain's performance, I think is very authentic, and a lot of the gestures that Jessica has, particularly rubbing on her chest, and really, a lot of physical, uh, uh, a lot of physicality at some points with her performance, in showing when she has these anxiety episodes or panic attacks. It feels very authentic, because I myself have been at that kind of place, and it literally, as she portrays it, is very real. So her performance is very in many cases authentic, and it's also very um, investing. I think is the best word. Um, and investment is also one of the issues of The Good Nurse, because uh, one of the decisions that it makes at the start is that it chooses to split its story into two different kinds of stories. So at the beginning of the film, we're seeing about Jessica Chastain's character, and how she is wrestling with her own anxiety, and how she forms this friendship with Charlie. Um, and it's mostly pays attentions to the field work of nursery, which is their stress, and all the stuff that they have to watch, and literally, like, to them, like, the kind of trauma that um, they have to inherit, seeing certain things. And with that, with Jessica Chastain's case, this growing anxiety. Um, so and so that's one story that they go, and then there's the other story, where it is these detectives come in, and they begin to conduct an investigation, and when doing so, they realize the corruption in in the hospital system, and how they're actually trying to cover up this case for different reasons, in order to, like, save their image and all that sort of stuff. Um, so the movie tries to play on both fields, and that's, to me, where the issue started to come from, because upon splitting the narrative into two different kinds of stories, your investment is also split as well, and you begin to favor one story over the other. Um, and that story for me personally was the exploitation and the corruption of the system versus this friendship being formed between Jessica Chastain's character and Eddie Redmayne's, because um, I wasn't particularly intrigued by their chemistry, because Eddie Redmayne's performance, outside of one scene at the end, which I actually think is where he, shows his best, um, he's plays it rather cold and rather distant. So it's, I don't really feel a sense of like innocence or comfortability with him, because one of the mistakes that the film also makes is that they let you know right at the start that Eddie Redmayne has done the things that he has done, or he is a particular kind of person. Um, so they basically let you know right up front that he is in fact the murderer, and I just don't I just feel that that was not necessary. And I feel that that took away from the tension and also from this chemistry, I think that even without that opening scene, it's still, um, you still have that trouble between these two performances, because Jessica Chastain is, you have a very committed and expressive performance where Eddie is just playing it very cold and very inexpressive, just kind of has like one face the entire time. Um, until we get to the end where we see him, kind of unravel and spiral, and that's when he becomes much more expressive and much more interesting. But for a bulk of the film, you just are not really that caring about his performance, um, and really about his character, because the film had already let us know about who this character is right at the start. So we're just not really interested about that. Um, and it kind of leaves an air of mystery, um, like out of it too, So um, even though again it is a typical story, I think that, or at least that the structure is typical. I think it would have benefited with some kind of air of mystery, because there is very good craftsmanship at the heart of it. I mean, the camera work is excellent. I love the pace of it. It really takes its time. The shots, they like the opening scene is like literally like one long zoom in shot on Eddie Redmayne's face, and I think that that, from a technical standpoint, was very well done. Um, and just in general with the whole film, it's technically really well made. Um, but for me, the issue was that split. I felt that that was just I just felt that we needed to ring in more on, about this investigation, and I feel that that would have, benefited things a lot more. And of course, leaving an air of mystery of whether or not Eddie, is who we're led to believe he is. Kind of like with The Stranger, which I thought was very well made, because because what Sean Harris does so well is that there is a sense of innocence with him, and you have this doubt that he maybe he's not really who we are led to believe he is. With Eddie, it's just very clear. You know that he is the murderer. You know he's did these things, because Eddie just doesn't, he doesn't really hide it well. um because I said he's like really cold, like really cold in this movie. What's fortunate about The Good Nurse, though, is that it does find that bind, um uh, sooner than you'd expect, and it does hone in on that investigation once certain things come closer together, because the film kind of goes like this for a while, and then eventually it does come together at a certain point once Jessica Chastain's character starts to like put the pieces together as to who Eddie is and all that. That's when the movie really starts to become more consistent and become more interesting, because the structure and the story is now more held together. um, and then that and you're it's at that point where the film is back on track. Um, but like I said, it's a story that we have seen many times. It's not trying to be extremely clever. I think The Stranger is just does a much better job of this. Um, and I think that The Good Nurse, for the most part, is good because of its technicalities and its performances, mostly from Jessica Chastain. It's just unfortunate that there is that split that happens near the beginning, um, and it just kind of leaves you in this odd predicament of like I like aspects of this story over here, but I also like aspects of this other story over here, and I'm kind of wanting more over here than over there. Like it's just, it gets a little bit odd. But thankfully they lean towards the story that you are more favored towards, which is that exploitation and all that stuff. And I do like the portrayal of anxiety. I think that they really nail it really well, and I think Jessica really does put in a really good performance in this. And I just think that more of a tighter um, focus I felt would have really elevated The Good Nurse, and also giving a little bit more of an air of a mystery. Even if we know what's going to happen, an air of mystery would have given it more, just a little bit more to maybe to Eddie's character, more or less, because his performance again is just too cold and too distant to be rather to be more to be interesting. Um, so it's a good piece, but I can't say more than that. It's just not that great because of that split. Um, but for its technicalities, for its performance, and when it does actually bind together, it does become fairly interesting. It's just like I said, unfortunate that that split had to occur, and we had to learn certain information much earlier than I think we should have. So, but that's my thoughts on The Good Nurse. You guys let me know your thoughts if you guys saw the film. Did you guys like it? Did you guys hate it? Whatever your thoughts are, let me know in the comment section below. And that's it for this review. And there'll be more reviews in the future. I told you, we're probably going to have a ton of them on this channel, so just, be ready when they all come flying out. Um, and Halloween's around the corner, so be safe and all that stuff. And hope you guys obviously have a really, really fun holiday. So thank you guys for watching, and I'll catch you guys next time.